Good morning, everyone. This is Alan Lee. I'm leading the Cytiva China business. We'll shift gear a little bit to talk about the regional perspective of our industry. In the last couple of years, we have seen the bioprocessing capability evolve rapidly in Asia and mostly the Greater China area. It is a combination of speed, scale, and innovation. We believe this momentum is creating significant value for our industry and ultimately accelerate the patient impact. So with that, this is why we have invited 4 distinguished business leaders across Asia to share their perspective on global collaboration and their views of this important subject. So let's welcome our distinguished board panel to the stage. They are President of Henlius Group, Madam Huang, please. Mr. L.C. Liu from EirGenix Group, founder and chairman. Mr. Lianshan Zhang, the EVP from Hengrui, and Jimmy Li, CEO from WuXi XDC. So please, let's give a round of applause to our panel. All right, it's great to have my dear guests here. It's a great honor for Danaher and Cytiva to have this panel to talk about the changed world in biomanufacturing. So let's talk about the first question on innovation. I would like to invite Lianshan to start. The thing is, in recent days, we are seeing China becoming not only a capability center, but also an innovation center for the biomanufacturing, biopharma industry. Our license out value in last year has been reaching $130 billion. And most recently, we see on May the 12th, BMS and Hengrui has announced a strategic collaboration valued at $15.2 billion during the same week of Trump and Xi summit. Very good timing. Lianshan, you have been directly involved in shaping the partnership. So could you share what makes this collaboration important and what do you see as the great value creation with a touch on the innovation strategy of the Hengrui Group, please?
So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So first of all, thank you for the invitation from Cytiva Danaher. And I'm so honored to be part of this panel. And before I try to answer your question, let me give a brief introduction. So I'm Lianshan. So I work for Hengrui for the past 16 years, oversee the whole R&D organization. So prior to that, I was educated in China, in Europe, and in the States. Okay. I was fortunate enough to be part of the industry with my first industrial job in Boston, associated with Inalini and Company. And later on, we were fortunate enough to be involved in what's so hot now, incretin area. Okay. Most of the people in the audience I know with semaglutide, tirzepatide, and I am part of that since 2001. In 2010, I had a chance to go back to China. Initially, with very simple thoughts, try to create accessibility for the Chinese patient. Later on, I found importantly, it's more of the affordability and accessibility in China. So with past 16 years experience, we were so happy to see the innovation boom, in China. And I think it's for me, as I see the collaboration, we just announced with BMS and in the prior year with GSK. It's a natural process for the innovation, the whole innovation effort in China. If we can create innovation over there more efficiently now, with better utilization of AI, I think ultimately we can actually achieve the goal of creating accessibility to solve unmet medical needs and affordability for broad patient population across the globe. Okay, the deal is very interesting. Okay, the very first deal we did with Canera is a new core. Okay, we actually put the 3 assets, equity asset. Okay, probably you have noticed the largest Nasdaq listing this year is Canera, right? And they were able to raise money to develop our asset outside of China. So the second deal we did with GSK is a kind of a joint collaboration, right? And they were very much interested in our PDE3/4 inhibitors for COPD. As you know, GSK is one of the experts in the respiratory area. Okay, for us, that's a natural collaboration. So then, of course, we have 11 option programs where they try to utilize our discovery, basically innovation capability. And I think that deal went well. So in succession to that GSK collaboration, okay, and we were able to work with BMS to form the deal as you just described. And here I would like to congratulate both teams from both companies in the business development area. Okay, I think this deal is very interesting. We put for immuno-oncology asset, they put for autoimmune disease asset on the table. We try to utilize the development capability of both companies. Okay, right? So in this way, BMS can achieve much faster proof of concept in the clinic in China. Okay, and we are very much interested in, and we have established ourselves as an autoimmune disease leader in China. We certainly have the expertise in that regard, and of course, BMS is very strong in the immuno-oncology area, right? So it's a better utilization of development capability, and for that matter, capacity. So it's a win-win deal. And we have 5 discovery programs where, we basically virtually collaborate together, but the wet lab work will be conducted at Hengrui. So it's just to add, I think, we have been witnessing, a China moment right now. Okay, I think that will be sustainable in a long run. Okay, the innovation force is there; people cannot ignore it.
Impressive. Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Now let's move to Madam Huang. Where Henlius has built a strong reputation as a pioneer in biopharma sector, from the very early adopter of the single-use technology to get the global approvals across China, EU, US, and now probably Middle East. From your point of view, what is the core capability has enabled Henlius to deliver this level of sustainable growth breakthroughs?
Well, first of all, thank you, and I'd like to thank Danaher and Cytiva for organizing the summit. I think it's a great place to put all the brightest mind in one place, and to have a very focused topic on bioprocessing. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Huang. I'm the president of Henlius Biopharmaceuticals. Henlius is a 16-year-old company, still young, and we are publicly listed, Hong Kong listed company, public company. Currently have 10 products on the market, and interesting enough, 7 of them are marketed outside China. So I think if I have to go back and reflect the past 16 years, what Henlius have done, what has made us to this, this point, I think there are probably 3 things that come to my mind. I think number 1, Henlius started as a biosimilar company. And today, most of the product on the market are biosimilars. But I think that has built us a very much a integrated CMC and a global quality system and manufacturing supply chain allow us to not only develop product, but also successfully launch product globally, not just for the Chinese market, but for the global market.
Yep.
I think we are the first approved biosimilars in China. We help CDEs to write the guidelines for biosimilars in China. We're the first European EMA-approved biosimilars from China. So I think along the journey, we have helped the biosimilar industries in China and also for the Chinese companies making it enter the global stage. I think the other one is we also the first adopter of single-use technologies in China. We had extensive discussions among ourselves at that time, plus with regulatory bodies at that time about using single-use technologies for antibody production. So I think that part, we have really changed the landscape, how biologics are made in China today. I would say today, majority of the biologics plants are single-use based. We're proud to say that probably Henlius had a small contribution to that. And I think building a global quality mindset is very important if you aim for the global market. From the very beginning, I think the quality culture is very much in our gene. I think that has really led us to the global market today and will continue to support us going forward. I think the second part of the core capability I can think of is really our decade-long biosimilar background, especially CMC, has really built us a very solid foundation for us to enter into the innovative drug space. Yep. I think today we are called as a dual engine-driven company, both biosimilar and innovative drugs. Today we have a very strong pipeline of innovative drugs in various stages of clinical trials. I think to that, a lot is leveraging our experience built upon biosimilars. We have mastered some of not only molecular design, but also cell line development, process development, analytical product characterizations. These are very essential, not to mention how to scale up, how to deal with those complex molecules. Oftentimes, as Anne discussed earlier, CMC will become the bottleneck. Yeah. And we try not to become the bottleneck. I think that's a very important part. I think third part, if I have to think about, is talent. Yes. Is a global-minded, cross-cultural talent to build this company and have a very much a long-term strategy, how we want to build the company, how do we want to build a pipeline, which areas we will need to focus on, and which market we are aiming for. I think that requires a very much a global talent to build that culture. I think that is also one of the core capability we have built up over the last decades, and I think will continue to support us going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Huang. Very impressive. quality, talent, and the full CMC capability migrate from biosimilar to innovative drugs. Then let's move to Jimmy. Jimmy, I still remember 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, the IPO ceremony for WuXi XDC. I think it's an amazing journey in the last short 3-4 years. The company is moving from a couple hundred associates to 4,000. It's contributing more than 50% of the entire WuXi Group's growth, more than 70% of the margin growth. So tell us more about what's behind this. What's the secret sauce here, please?
Thank you, Alan. Also wanted to begin by thanking Sativa Danaher for the wonderful opportunity to join this great summit. I'm Jimmy Lee, CEO of WuXi XDC, biochemical engineer by training, mostly cell culture engineer in the early stage of my career. I was actually in Ann's organization at Genentech before I moved to China 15 years ago. So coming to Alan's question, WuXi XDC was formally established about 5 years ago. And as the name reflects, we have one single mission, basically, to serve the ADC and bioconjugate industry. That's reflected by the company name, ADCs and XDCs. I think what differentiates us, what get us to here today, is probably 3 main themes. The first is integration. Because of the complexity of ADCs and bioconjugates, the nature of cross-discipline modality, we knew that from day one, integration would be the key to really serve this particular segment of the industry. So as such, we have built complete capabilities, including antibody, linker payload chemistry, conjugation, and the ADC drug products. 4 distinct modalities, components, in one single company, in one single platform. And in fact, our WuXi facility, where we do manufacturing, is probably one of the few, if not the only site globally that does all 4 of the ADC component manufacturing in one single site under one single quality system. So that's the kind of effort, integration effort that we made to help to accelerate this industry. The second is the speed. Because of the competitive nature of the field, the fact that most biotechs need to get to first in human and clinical data inflection as fast as possible. Obviously, speed is the essence. So we've introduced our platform, what we call from DNA to IND, in 13 to 15 months, 4 years ago. And that's for the ADC, right? A novel ADC, potentially with novel antibody, novel linker payload. We actually deliver numerous INDs in that time frame, 13 to 15 months. At a time when the industry averaged about 24 to 30 months to get to an IND. So we basically cut the whole time frame by about half. The third really important component is the global readiness and global delivery. I think that's also one of the things we hear in the past 2 days. So about 2/3 of XDC's clients are outside of China. We help clients submit INDs to the US, to Europe, to Japan, Korea, many different regions. So it's a true global platform. And obviously also comes with global compliance and global quality. And in fact, we actually help many global ADC biotechs get successful partnerships or acquisition by pharmas. In every single cases, the fact that WuXi XDC for us, the CMC provider actually was a big boost on most of the deals. So I think the three things: integration, the speed, global readiness, global delivery, is what really help us to get to where we are today. And we'll continue look forward to helping to accelerate many novel ADCs and bioconjugates to allow patient access.
Thank you, Jimmy. Impressive, very well said. Now let's move to Mr. Liu. LC, Taiwan is in a very unique position as a global supply chain diversifying. The region has been proving itself in terms of being able to build strategic specialization that create global leaders in industries like semiconductor. Is biotech, biopharma following the same pattern? From EirGenix standpoint, what's your view? What is EirGenix differentiation?
All right, first I really want to thank you, Sativa Danaher, to have this chance to come here to share my thoughts and my opinions. First, I just try to introduce myself a little bit. I had been studying and working in the U.S. For about 35 years. I worked in the biotech and pharma, Aegis, Genvac, Novartis for many years. And then by a fortunate convergence of the circumstance, I returned to Taiwan at the end of 2012 to establish EirGenix. And also at that time acquired this biopharmaceutical pilot unit that had been under the MOEA, the DCB Center. They had been operating for a while, but that's a nonprofit organization. I think that the deal, the most important is that we acquired that at that time in Taiwan, the most complete talent pool to start our business. Actually, our business is really divided two parts. One is that to provide the service, that is CDMO. And I think at the beginning, it's the most local because at that early time. And then the second business we were working on is that developing a product, actually specifically for biosimilars. And we still have the total 8 biosimilars in our pipeline, and 2 are in the market. I think during that acquisition, I think this ceremony of taking over, the minister of the MOEA said one thing: "Wish you good luck," just like the TSMC.
TSMC.
And because TSMC was formed, established back in 1987. That's about 26 years ago. I think even at that time, the government or even in the industry didn't think that the semiconductor industry and biopharmaceutical manufacturing has a certain link. But however, if you really see that the operation itself and clean room, the operations, and you certainly need much higher, education pool to support all this development. So they do have a certain link, and I think at that time when they say good luck, basically is that because EirGenix actually we acquired this under MOES this biopharmaceutical unit pilot plant, and TSMC back in 1987. It's really that spin-off of the first pilot unit, that's 6 inches. You're making that silicon, this 6 inch, the unit. And so they see that there's a different, there's a similar. However, I do see that during that COVID-19, because the vaccine and also certain medicine become really shortage, and they see that it's very important. So at that time, basic government still started to put this effort for this the so-called pharmaceutical or biologic CDMO business. And however, I do see that there are differences. If you look at this semiconductor industry, especially on this CPU logic, the business, you total have probably around $500 billion business. Most are in the outsourcing. However, if you're looking at biologic, the business on outsourcing, if you're looking back to 2025, that's probably around 18%. And even you asking, looking at all the prediction, they predict that by 2030 or beyond, probably we're around 25%. So they do have a difference in there. For Taiwan, I think that because it's a small island, so all this CDMO service, it should be focused, it's outside the company. And so like EirGenix basically said, now it's more than 65%. The revenue basics come from outside. And the client, the major client from Japan. And the other is from the US and some from the Europe. I see that besides EirGenix, several other companies also have a very similar pattern because that the proximity, Japan are always our major clients.
Okay.
For biological, development, I do see that the coming because that the regulatory shifting on this biosimilar development, especially on the slim down or even wave the CES. So I do see that if you're also looking at the 2025 to 20 for next 10 years, you have about the 118 products going to be lost on the patent. And up to now, it's only less than 10% are in development.
Yeah.
Because this shifting on the regulatory regulations, basic that you lower down the barrier for financial, especially on biosimilar development. So basically that a lot of generic companies jump into that in the biosimilar development. However, as you know, the biosimilar development, you really need, first is that you need a very, very comprehensive this protein catalyzation and also reverse engineer capability. I think that in next few years, this will be also a part of the CDMO business, special, for those companies basically have no development capability, or they also don't have that commercial production capacity.
Okay.
I think that's the future. I will see that coming. Yeah.
Thank you, LC. Now, we want to shift gear a little bit. We got probably time for one question. I would invite Jimmy and Wei to talk about our favorite topic of manufacturer bottleneck. So in ADC manufacturing, what is that, and what is your current strategy in dealing with that? 2 minutes each, please.
Right. ADCs are obviously very complex. I think Zhang gave a really great talk yesterday about the complexity of manufacturing antibody oligo conjugates. Similarly, for ADCs or potentially antibody peptide conjugates, those kind of complex modalities, there's really a lot of challenges in terms of manufacturing, in terms of supply, in terms of also scaling and supplies. So part of the challenge is obviously with so many different novel conjugate modalities, how robust your process will be, especially with all type of different conjugation technologies, right? And whether with each novel modality, you can actually robustly scaling up of the process. That's one of the challenge, right? The second challenge, and probably more importantly, and also I think John talked about that yesterday, is the fact that you have so many different components for one single drug, right? For any typical ADCs, you have the antibody, the payload linker, conjugation, drug products, right? At least 4. How do you, synchronize the manufacturing? How do you synchronize the capacity of each component? And how do you hand over, from one to the next? The scheduling, right? All those are, hugely challenging. And also the characterization analytical methods. Again, especially with AOCs, with the oligo completely changing the charge characterization of the molecule. A lot of different challenges, not even talking about the containment requirements for highly potent, highly toxic compounds. And that's one of the important reasons why we are facing constraints globally, especially on the ADC drug products, because every single drug product facility has to be custom designed, for their containment requirements. So a lot of challenges, and our, solution to those is really to focusing on, again, on integration and synchronizing all of the components, right? Not looking at one single component, but looking at the integrity, the total requirements of getting to the final drug. So that's why, we designed to have all of the component capability within one company, within one platform.
Okay.
That's how we also decided to set up manufacturing in Singapore, potentially in the US, again, with all those different components, not just one, component. So that's our approach to, solving this very complex, supply and manufacturing challenges of the modality.
Thank you, Jim. Madam Huang?
Sure. I think Jimmy already touched upon a lot of very challenging aspect of ADC. I think from the pharmaceutical company standpoint of view, I think to overcome those challenges, you really need to start from the R&D days. How you design the molecule, how you select the pin linker payloads, what kind of conjugation technology you want to deploy to assure the molecules not only is effective and also can be developed, can be manufactured. I think that needs to be addressed from the beginning, not to be addressed later. I think that's our approach, and that's why we have developed our platform we call the Hengrui, and to do site-specific conjugation rather than the random conjugation. And that really make the process, this is really quality by design concept, to do it early, to do it right, and also have a much better control in terms when you're moving from the labs to the pilot plant to the commercial stage. I think that's very important. Secondly, for us, is also supply chain management,
Yep.
right? ADC is a very complex molecule to make. You basically have to deal with 4 different components of it, and none of them is easy. And to demonstrate your quality, your process is under control, it's not easy. So how do you manage your supply chain, whether it's the linker payload or the maps or the conjugation process and then final fill and finish? I think we had to put a lot of thoughts to that. Some of them you have to rely on partners such as WuXi XDC to have the knowledge and the network to do so. Some of them are your own homework you have to do on your own. I think that that's what we looked at as ADC as we continue to look into develop new molecules. I was joking with someone earlier that say, the new molecules are getting a lot more complex, more and more complex. You have all 4 different, now we actually recently, last year we finished an R&D, which are actually in the clinics right now, is a quad. People talk about bispecific, now we're talking quad. When you talk about quad or ADCs or, the dual link payload ADCs, and these are very complex molecules. How do you do this on the CMC side? How do you overcome some of the analytical challenges? And not to talking about those molecules, usually they're not very stable. And how do you address that through the CMC process? How do you making sure the quality attributes can be maintained throughout the scale-up? I think that's very important. And I think having that integrated approach is very important, and that's my view of it.
Thank you, Madam Huang. Very well said. I think we got time for questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll have Mike come over to you. Please.
Thanks very much for your insight into Asia and global. I want to ask about the supply chain, especially for single use, and how you guys have managed to deal with the supply chain, certainly within China or within Taiwan, where things might be coming out from overseas, or have you built a vertically integrated supply chain for all of your products manufactured in China or Taiwan?
Let me take a first stab at this one. I think in terms of supply chain, as I mentioned, we have product launched globally. Now we have product approved in 70+ countries. To supply to 70+ countries, a global supply chain is not easy. I think we are, as a company, as a young company, we're learning that, and we are very much quickly come to the conclusion that we need to have diversify our supply chain. And how do you do that? There are many ways to do that. I think certainly finding a reliable partner can work with you to have supplies from other regions other than China is very important. And also, in terms of supply chain, it's not just the product itself, it's also all the consumables and the raw materials that goes into the product. I mean, we learned a hard lesson during COVID, right? And we run into supply chain issues. I think these also needs to be taken into considerations when we deploy the supply chain strategy. And in terms of manufacturing network, right now, our manufacturing site, we have 3 manufacturing sites. They are all in China right now, but we are actively looking at outside China networks, whether it's our own or working with the partners. I think that's very important. And thanks to President Trump, we also have to very seriously consider how to supply, especially our innovative drugs, how to supply that to the global market as well as the States. A very important market for us.
Yeah, the specific question I was asking was not your supply chain out, but your especially consumables of single use in. Have you assured, there's a strategy where you try to get everything that's made in your country, and there are strategies where you go to adjacent countries or friendly countries. What was your strategy, and how did you assure that you're going to get the things you need to do? I assume raw materials are okay, but consumables might be more difficult. And again, I'm coming from the COVID time as well, where supply chain was difficult for everybody. But what about where you are now in China and in Taiwan?
Yeah, in terms of China, I think we have working with company like Cytivas and Sartorius and many others. And I think that at the same time, we also are working with our local suppliers. And they have coming very fast and furious. And they are really building their supply chain to address the local market at this moment. I will let LC to talk about Taiwan.
Yes, during COVID-19, it is very difficult issues. I think for us, it's basic that, for instance, where you use a lot those mixer. Those mixer basics, we decided to have two different brands, so two different sources. However, we still have a problem. The reason is that at that time, we use a lot the competitor, because the manufacturing basically made in the U.S. at that time, basics that they need a lot for that COVID-19. And we need also is that because for making that COVID-19 vaccine that's produced in Taiwan. So we usually order 10, we get 1. So that's the reason we switched to using the Cytiva mixer and using Sartorius mixer. So that's using the different brand to resolve the issue. The other thing I do think that considering the geopolitics and because sometimes you have those in this very tense situation. So sometimes for the company like Cytiva, sometimes you do want to have an alternative at the different geopolitical center to have a manufacturing site. The reasons that we still can go to mainland China to get some material. For those consumables, however, at the beginning of this year, we find out that one of the big things we searching around, we couldn't find a replacement, is that this magnesium chloride. And because that's our client, the process, you're running this 4,000 liter and this supplement using this a lot of magnesium chloride. But this magnesium chloride also using a lot in this semiconductor industry, because they use a lot. And because this DRAM's business, basically that this magnesium chloride couldn't sourcing from anywhere. The only way we had to tell our client is that, we find out that the supplier from mainland China, the reasons that that in China they do have this very pure magnesium oxide. The mine actually the purity just harvest, and the purity is above 95%. So they can produce a lot. And I have to ask, we have to ask the client whether you want to switch to the supplier and get a second supplier. So I think the supply chain is a very, very complex issue. This complexity is really caused by this geopolitics, and the politics made our life very difficult. Then we had to find ways that under those politics, what things, alternatives we can do. That's my best suggestion.
Thank you, LC. I think this is a great question to wrap up the panel from a supply chain resilience and geopolitical standpoint. I still want to re-emphasize that at Cytiva, we are all up to that game. The game is different now. So in China, we are accelerating the localization to make sure our customers have choice close to their manufacturing and then to support the patient ultimately. Again, these 4 guests coming over from the other side of the world, they are representing more than $60 billion of market cap Most of them are very young company, as Madam Huang said, 15 years old, and then they all call high double-digit growth from this year, from first quarter and this year. So I think those will leave us some positive note in terms of helping the industry, helping the patient, and adding value to the global ecosystem. So with that, let's give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you.